Hey, Denver Startup Week. I'm excited to share with you my presentation. This is 7 things all startups can do to drive value. I'm Natty ZOLA. I'm Managing Director of the Techstars Accelerator in Boulder and a partner at Matchstick Ventures. I've worked with over 100 founders across hundreds of startup companies, and many fail to do the simple things that add up to create immense value. I'll share 7 of my favorite simple things that you can do or stop doing today to increase your odds of success. I'd love for you to share your thoughts on this talk on Twitter using the hashtag 7things. Also, please tag Den Startup Week and also tag me at NattyZ. All right, let's jump right into it. The first thing is create a don't do list. Startups can't do everything, and your main advantage is your focus and your speed. The best companies are intentional about what they aren't going to do. 3 tactics for accomplishing this. One is do a retrospective each week and ID activities that added value and those that didn't. Cut out the ones that don't. Don't feel bad about it. Second, write down your to-do list. Cross out everything below the top 3, maybe the top 2. The reality is you're not going to get to it if it's not the most important thing, and that's okay. Third is, in your backlog or wherever you keep a bunch of your work tasks, create a maybe someday column and keep track of ideas so that you can get them out of your head, but still keep track of them in one place. I do this all the time, and I found it gives me a lot of headspace to do the most important work. Second, make progress on your priority 1, your P1, or your OKR, objective and key result, every day. Most companies don't even set P1s or OKRs. So set them in the first place, and then every single day, ruthlessly work to focus on those objectives. You don't have time to waste doing other things. And there are a lot of shiny objects that come up when you're a startup founder. Stay focused. Here are 3 tactics. 1, make sure everyone has a P1 or an OKR on the team. It's amazing how often maybe there's one for the whole company or one for a certain team, but not everyone knows what is my priority this week or this time period. 2, I love this one. Agree that as a team, no one can leave work without making progress on their P1 or their OKR. Literally, you can't leave work, whatever work your office means to you these days, without doing something to push forward your P1 or your OKR. This builds momentum and focus. The third one is make the P1s or OKRs visible to everyone in the organization. This then creates dialogue around what people are working on and if it's the right thing. It's good that people can challenge each other to say, is that really the most important thing? Third, identify and track one North Star metric. The old adage says, you'll manage what you measure, and I think it's really true. In the vein of speed and focus, choose a metric that best represents what you're trying to accomplish at this point in time for your company and focus all your energy in moving that. Here are 3 tactics for it. 1, make it visible. Everyone should see the metric every single day. It should be updated every day. And when it's no longer the right metric, don't feel bad, change it and move on. But making it so it's something that everyone sees will make sure that you spend time actually working on it. Second, try to tie your P1s or your OKRs to movements in that metric where you can. This is hard, but ideally everything you're doing each week should be around moving that specific North Star metric. Third, make that metric a flow versus a stock metric. A flow metric means it's not a static number. For example, you want it to be a rate versus a number that maybe could only go up. A good example of this is new users per week versus total users. Total users can only go up, and new users per week is really what matters to see if you're gaining momentum. All right, number 4, track the number of customer conversations you and your leadership team or founders are having per week. This is literally the only metric that all companies, regardless of what business line they're in or what their type of business is, can track. This, if you start tracking this, it'll ensure you never stray too far from your customers and get too far into your own world. It ensures that you incorporate customer feedback into your business all the time. It's amazing how easy it is to get into your own world and forget to talk to customers or think you're actually talking to customers, but you really aren't. Here are the 3 tactics for this. As I mentioned, this is the only metric that literally every company listening to this can track. I don't know of a single other one that's so universal, yet almost none do it. So just do it. This should be not outsourced to support or sales. This is conversations with customers by the founders or the leadership team. Third, there is no right number of the number of customer conversations you should have. It depends on the business. If you're selling into enterprise, maybe it's 2 is the right number per week. Maybe if you're a B2C company, it's 10. Doesn't matter. The goal is to watch it and notice how many weeks it's been at 0. If it's been at 0 for more than 2 weeks, time to go get back in front of customers. All right, number 5, emphasize the truth over who was right. Startup founders are smart and they like to be right. Trust me, I was one, I know them, it's true. But the only thing that matters is the truth within your business and market, not who was right. I see lots of founders waste time trying to prove they are right versus what's right. There's a big distinction. 3 tactics for this. 1, redefine mistakes into learning opportunities, where the only real mistakes are times when you didn't learn something important about your market. Totally okay to fail, but it's what did you learn from that failure? 2nd, do root cause analysis using the 5 whys method while avoiding doing the 5 whos. 5 whys looks like this. When you notice a problem in the business, you ask, well, why did that happen? And then you ask, why did that happen again? Why did that happen? And you keep going down to try to find the root cause. Startups and all businesses are really good at doing, instead of the 5 whys, the 5 whos, which is trying to figure out who is to blame, who did the wrong thing. When you have a 5 who or a blame-based culture, no one ever feels comfortable making mistakes or trying new things, which is what is the lifeblood for startup companies. So try to do the 5 whys to get to the root cause. 3rd tactic, run a monthly confront the brutal facts meeting where all of the issues in the market, the product, the company are freely brought up and discussed. This is where you really invite those tough conversations to make sure that you really are soberly looking at the facts around your market. All right, number 6, send consistent updates to supporters. It does take a village to make a startup successful, but most of your village, your friends, your family, your followers, your investors, all the people that you've gotten excited about what you're doing are also busy, and they aren't thinking about you as much as you think. You want to make sure that you are top of mind by sending frequent updates, so when you need help, they're used to hearing from you, up to speed on the business, and excited to help. 3 tactics for this. 1, be consistent. Pick a time frame that you're going to send this out and do it like a clock. Maybe in Techstars, we do it weekly. That's maybe a little bit too much. Maybe you do it every 2 weeks. Maybe it's every month. I would not go much longer than once a month. And make sure you make it easy to skim. 2nd, be open, candid, and direct. Vulnerability leads to connection, which leads to value creation for you. People want to know the truth behind your business, not just that everything is up and to the right. And then a lot of companies ask, what's a good format for these updates? I've included on this slide here a format that we tend to like. So you can literally structure your email using these sections. And then you use bullet points under each one, so it's easy to skim. All right, 7th, and certainly not least, is create a reflective culture from day one. A reflective culture is something that I learned from an amazing founder in this market, Liz Georgie at Suna. A reflective culture basically means a culture that represents the community it's a part of, as opposed to a monoculture. Many studies show that diverse teams outperform, and we've certainly seen it ourselves. However, it's really hard to attract diverse talent when the company starts without embracing diversity from the get-go, which usually happens when you hire from within your existing network. This is what results in a monoculture where everyone looks the same or maybe has the same background. Instead, companies should focus on building a culture that's reflective of their community. 3 tactics for this. At a minimum, try to reflect the diversity in your local community and maybe go beyond that. 2, every time you're making a hire, commit to having 2 finalists for that hire and having at least one of them be diverse or different from the founders. And lastly, invest in bias or DEI training and tools. These go a long way to understanding what's going on within your company. All right, here you have it. 7 things after working with hundreds of founders that are easy to implement that can drive massive value for you and your startup. Thanks for joining for this 8th annual Denver Startup Week, the largest free entrepreneurial event of its kind. I'd love to hear your experience with this session online on Twitter. Use the hashtag DenStartupWeek, 7 things, and tag me at NattyZ. Thanks a lot.